Hey everyone and welcome to Storytime. My name is Jake and before this video starts, I just want to say something really quick. Basically, I've started a second channel because of something YouTube has implemented, so I've posted a community post about it, but if you haven't seen it, I'll comment it down below and pin it. Basically, everything is going to stay the same, apart from it's going to be one video a day on each channel instead of two on one. So I think the current plan is to have the malicious compliance on this channel, and then the other board on the other channel, and then to adjust over time to see what you guys like the best. So please go and subscribe to the other channel so you don't miss out on any other videos. It's just going to be called Storytime 2 and I'll leave it at the top of the description. Thanks and let's get right into the video. New company ignores the old hands. Expensive disaster ensue. This happened a few decades ago, at a plant complex involved in national defense work. The existing contractor decided to leave when the contract expired, and a new company came in. Of course, new company's managers came in with the attitude, "This place is a mess, we're going to run it our way, which is the only way." Needless to say, the attitude did not sit well with many of the long-term employees. They knew their stuff quite well, especially the site-specific knowledge needed to keep the plant running. One of the things new company wanted to change early on were the standard operating procedures plant-wide, because the written procedures inherited from old company did not comply with the style used by new company. To this end, they brought in a bunch of technical writers to rewrite the procedures the right way. However, none of them had any knowledge of the specifics regarding the procedures they were rewriting, and had no access to the areas the procedures applied to, as they didn't have any security clearances. It took 9+ months to get them at the time. One of the most important procedures, which was rewritten, covered power outages in a production building, handling some really hazardous stuff, which required glove boxes, controlled circulation patterns, massive HVAC air filtration, etc. When new company's tech writers finished the procedure, they handed it off to the building engineers, all of whom had at least 20 years experience, and scheduled a test of the system, simulating a power loss and bringing the emergency generators online to power the building. The old-timers looked the new revised procedure over and noticed some glaring errors. They notified their bosses at new company, only to be told that the procedure was fine as written, and their input was unnecessary. When the test was run, it got to a point where the building engineers asked again, "Are you sure you want to do this?" and were told to comply with the new procedure to the letter. They did as they were told, and shortly afterwards, there were some nasty sounds from the generators. A few scary electrical arcs, and the generators became a few tons worth of scrap metal. New company management was livid, looking everywhere for someone to blame. Not finding anyone, they decided it was some sort of subtle sabotage on the part of the building engineers for the retest after the backup power system was rebuilt, at a cost of $1 million or so. They decided to post a new company manager at the elbow of every employee involved in the test, to ensure the procedure was followed exactly to the letter. The building engineers again expressed their misgivings but complied with their orders, as they had been given dire threats about what would happen to them if they deviated in any way from the procedure. Despite the micromanagement, the test had exactly the same outcome as the first one. Dramatic arcs, bad noises, fried equipment, and another $1 million outlay to fix everything. The post-mortem on the second test established that the procedure had indeed been followed exactly, with no divergence from it anywhere. Faced with this, new company managers finally went back to the building engineers, whom they'd been blaming for the failures, to solicit their input. It seems that the core problem was what they'd tried to tell new company managers at the outset. A critical step was omitted, one which specified that both generators had to have their input in phase with each other prior to bringing them online. Connecting a pair of multi-kilowatt 3-phase backup generators out of phase is guaranteed to be an expensive light show. The procedure was quietly rewritten with the input of the building engineers, and the third test went flawlessly. New company had all sorts of problems there due to their attitude. They chased out the experienced people who knew the what, why, how and when of the plant and ended up begging many to come back as independent contractors, who charged some exorbitant hourly rates. Sometimes I wonder if I was working for a company as like a specialist who had a load of knowledge and a new company came in to take over, I'd probably just leave instantly and be like, okay, you try deal with it. And then they're like, oh, we can't. And I'll just be like, okay, I'll come back as a contractor and charge you twice my wage. Malicious compliance to go. A short story that happened the other day. I recently dined at a pizza chain in the UK that brags about being express service. After waiting 45 minutes to be served drinks in a fairly empty store, we asked for a small portion of garlic dough balls as we had kids with us who were starving. 20 minutes later, we get the dough balls and it's another 15 to 20 minutes before we leave, because after a total of 1 hour and a half, we had no service. And they charged us for the largest platter of dough balls they had. My partner filed a complaint to head office, so they sent us 2 vouchers for free pizza. Now, I work in the city centre, so I thought I'd pick one up for lunch and eat it at my desk. I returned to the store, and the same rude waiter, whom I'm assuming remembered me, as his face turned into a scowl when he saw me, greeted me. I asked for my pizza, he looked at the voucher and said I can't take it away, it's only to dine in. I argued, asked him to show me where it said anything on the voucher, pointed out the part where it said suitable for collection, and he was having none of it. I asked for a manager. He said he was the acting manager. So I relented and said I'd take a seat and ordered my pizza. 5 minutes later it comes out. I take a bite and said I'm full, I'd like to take my leftovers. The guy was fuming, but had to do so. I did the exact same thing the next day as well. Not very exciting, but it felt good. The guy basically just made more work for himself. It's like, oh, I'm the manager, you listen to me now. And then he's like, oh, I've just been outplayed. Deny me a break and force me to make more pizza boxes, although there's more than enough? Sure. So today at work, my boss came to check how stuff is going. Whenever he does so, everyone working there is just stressed because of how much of a pain in the butt he can be, although we follow all the rules and instructions. He is a foreigner, and his way of running the business is quite weird. He keeps coming up with new rules and restrictions, which are unnecessary. And whenever he comes to the place, he sorts all of the documents in such a way that they often can't be later found because he doesn't follow the rules he had created. His presence is purely annoying, and it gets even worse when he sees people not doing anything, no matter the reason, which usually is having finished all the work for the time being, especially when it comes to the delivery guys. And that's what happened today. Having finished all the work for that particular moment, I went for a short break in our changing room, took out my phone, replied to a text, started browsing Reddit when I hear him come in. Didn't think about it that much until he came into the room and asked me why I'm not doing anything. He didn't really want me to answer and immediately started searching for anything that I could do. Usually, he makes me do stuff that isn't my job, like washing the dishes, chopping vegetables, or shredding the cheese. But since all of that had been done, he told me to make more pizza boxes. I showed him that the place we keep the boxes in is full of them, but he didn't listen and told me that he isn't paying me for procrastinating, and there for sure is still a place I can put the boxes in. Not wanting to cause any drama, I just obeyed and started making the boxes and putting them in the only space where they would not get in anyone's way. And then my genius idea popped into my head. I did the work, but in my own way. I decided to make an arch out of the boxes above the window from where I received the food to deliver and stack it all the way up, and I succeeded. And if you're curious, when the boss came back, he pretended not to notice it and didn't say a single word to me for the rest of the evening. I was trying really hard not to burst out laughing when he was passing my creation. That's actually amazing. It's the quiet ones that need watching, preferably from a safe distance. To start off, I'm not the star in this story. This story is about my old classmate, and since you guys are allergic to acronyms, I'm gonna call her Molly, as it's close enough without being traceable back to her real name. Back when we were in our early teens, Molly was such a mousy and shy girl. You'd think a certain yellow and pink four-legged character from a well-known children's cartoon was her spirit animal. Always sitting in the back of the classroom, really quiet, keeping to herself. You all know the type. Our homeroom teacher was a bit of a hard guy, and in the run-up for a week-long autumn break, he gave us all homework to prepare a minimum 15-minute long oral presentation of something we did during the break. Fast forward a week, and we are back to school. After a slow start, we have our presentations in the time slot directly after lunch. Molly, being the shy and quiet girl she is holding off on doing her presentation until she's the only one left. Can't say for sure, but I'm guessing she was hoping some of the others would drag on and she wouldn't have enough time to do her presentation. Anyway, our homeroom teacher is adamant she has to do her presentation. Molly tries to deflect it by saying she didn't do anything special that would fit a presentation. After a bit of back and forth that ended in our teacher threatening her with detention if she didn't do her presentation, Molly sighs, agrees to do it, and steps up in front of the class. After collecting herself, she goes into a presentation about how she went hunting with her dad, all told in extreme detail. The thrill of stalking the moose, the sound and adrenaline rush of pulling the trigger and landing the shot, and more very descriptive stuff. After she was done, several boys in the class were looking like they were about to hurl, and our teacher's face had gone a few shades whiter than his normal colour. To his credit, he apologized to her afterwards about pushing her about it. I never minded doing presentations in front of everyone, but I never understood why they would force people to do it. Like, if someone doesn't want to go up in front, then why do they have to? I need to interview in order to leave? Okay. This happened today, and in an attempt to keep it short, I'm leaving out some of the details. So I attended a hiring pool to work for the government as a civil servant. When I get there, they explained their unique process to me. Number 1, review the positions. No, the positions weren't posted in advance. Number 2, apply and interview on the spot. And number 3, the hiring manager decides there and then if they'll hire you. I took a look at the postings and saw I'm not qualified in any of them. Realizing this would be a waste of everyone's time, I leave to check out. As I'm checking out, I'm informed that if I want to be considered for another hiring pool, I need to be interviewed at least 3 times and not be offered a job. Since I paid to be there and waited a year to attend, cue malicious compliance. The hiring manager speaks up. How much .NET experience do you have? None. Do you know C++? No. Tell me about your last project as a SharePoint developer. I'm not a SharePoint developer. What tools have you used for QA automation? I've never done that in my life, and I wouldn't know where to start. You get the point. I left the event with no job offer and some very frustrated hiring managers. That's a bit stupid how you had to pay to be there as well, and you had to wait a year. That seems like a sucky deal to me. Hey everyone, I hope you all had a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you want to check out some other videos, then click on screen right now, or check out the playlist down below. If you enjoyed that video, then please do leave a like. And if you want to submit your own stories, then you can do so by joining the Discord in the top link in the description. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon.